The movie begins by showing several players in an MMORPG game called Sword Art Online or SAO who are struggling to defeat the strongest monster in the game. They all rush to quickly defeat the monster because the beta tester program in the SAO game would be closing in less than a minute. They must defeat the monster for them to log out of the game, but because the monster's strength was so great, they seemed troubled and overwhelmed. Luckily, a male player named Kirito came and instantly defeated the powerful monster with just one attack. Thanks to Kirito, the SAO beta test game was successfully completed, and the game was officially closed. Elsewhere, a girl named Asuna seemed to be preparing to go to school, and as usual, she had breakfast with her parents and her brother while chatting for a while. In the conversation, Asuna's parents treat Asuna differently from her older brother, where their parents are only nice to her brother, while towards Asuna, they seem to ignore and don't care about her. Even though Asuna herself is a pretty smart student at her school and she often tries hard to make her parents proud. In fact, her parents never appreciate her. Arriving at school, Asuna's friends seemed to welcome her arrival because Asuna had helped teach them so that they managed to get good grades in yesterday's exam. In her class, there was another girl who was also in the top rank like Asuna, and even that girl was able to get first place in yesterday's exam. The girl named Tozawa Misumi is a genius girl who mostly stays in class and rarely gets along with other students. That's why not many people know that Misumi is actually a very reliable and ambitious video game player. One day, when Asuna was about to go home, she accidentally saw a broadcast about the winner of the arcade game last month, and it turned out that the winner of the game was Misumi. When Asuna was about to leave and pretended not to see that, Misumi caught Asuna first. Since that day, she often invites Asuna to play games together after school, and as time goes by, their relationship grows closer. One afternoon, Misumi invites Asuna to play the Sword Art Online game because the official version was released a few days ago. But Asuna was forced to refuse the invitation because she couldn't play the game before the school exam ended to meet her mother's expectations. Seeing Asuna, who kept pushing herself for her parents, Misumi felt sorry and tried to comfort her while braiding Asuna's hair. A few days later, when Asuna intended to deliver a letter to her brother's bedroom, she accidentally saw a nerve gear device that is usually used to play Sword Art Online. Out of curiosity, she tried to put on the nerve gear and started logging into the SAO game. After setting up the character with her real name, Asuna entered the SAO game world and looked amazed by the very realistic effect. In that place, Asuna met an NPC who used to guide new players like Asuna, and she immediately asked about a player named Misumi Tozawa. But the NPC replied that in the game, there was no player named Misumi Tozawa. But still, Asuna kept asking that question over and over. Not long after, a big man suddenly hugged Asuna from behind, and it turned out to be the game character of Misumi. In the game, Misumi used a large male character by the name of Mito, so it was only natural that previously the NPCs couldn't find her. Unlike Asuna, who is a novice player, Mito is a veteran player who had also played the beta test version of SAO, so she has a lot of knowledge about the game. Mito also decided to take Asuna around the city and introduce many things in the game to her. In the afternoon, Asuna remembered that she had to log out immediately to have dinner with her family. But strangely, when she was about to log out, the log out button was suddenly removed, and the same thing happened to Mito and the other players. Shortly after, all the players including Asuna and Mito were forcibly teleported to the main hall by a giant game character named Kayaba Akihiko, the developer of the SAO game. Kayaba said that he had trapped all the players in the game so that no player could log out before they had completed all the levels in the game. If any player forcibly removes a nerve gear or dies in the game, they will automatically die in the real world, because the nerve gear device they are using is directly connected to each player's brain. Before Kayaba disappeared, he handed over a mirror item to all the players so that all the players changed to their original forms in the real world. When the players panicked because their lives were in danger, Mito immediately invited Asuna to go to the forest and raise their level. This is because players who have experience and high levels will have great potential to survive compared to other players. While walking out of the city, Asuna and Mito were confronted by a small monster called a direwolf. Unlike Mito, who was able to defeat the direwolf very easily, Asuna, who was a novice player, almost died from being bitten. Luckily, Mito was able to save her, and she also promised that she would always protect Asuna. Mito then told Asuna about various ways to increase strength, get items, and level up in the game by defeating various monsters. She also told about how to choose the right weapon, how to use the weapon effectively, and find the weaknesses of each opponent. After joining a party with Mito, they then did farming in various places until finally, Asuna managed to increase her level and fighting ability. After Asuna reached a high enough level, Mito decided to take her hunting monsters in an underground cave so that they could increase their level quickly. While exploring the cave, they found several treasure boxes that were already opened, indicating that other adventurers had already hunted in the cave. Until finally, Asuna found a box that was still unopened and intended to open the box. Mito immediately stopped her and said that it was most likely a trap. After walking quite a distance, they met several players who were being attacked by a bunch of monsters because the players had accidentally opened a trap box. Asuna invites Mito to help them, but she refuses and says that any player who has opened a trap box is very difficult to save. At the same time, those players ended up dying because the number of monsters that surrounded and swarmed them was too much. Since that incident, Mito and Asuna were traumatized and immediately bought a lot of health potions as a way to protect themselves. One day when they were hunting for monsters on a cliff, they met a carnivore plant monster named Nepenthe. Mito reminded Asuna not to attack Nepenthe who had a fruit on their head, because if the fruit broke, then the Nepenthe would send a signal to the rest of their herd. During their fight, Mito saw a rare monster called the Alaskan rat monster, so she intended to defeat the monster to get a rare item for Asuna. But when Mito separated from Asuna, Asuna accidentally attacked Nepenthe who had a fruit on their head. As a result, she was surrounded by many Nepenthe monsters and was forced to fight all of them alone. When Mito managed to defeat the Alaskan rat and get a rapier sword for Asuna, Mito was suddenly blocked by the monster, so she couldn't help protect Asuna. Until finally, Mito, who saw that there was only a little HP left from Asuna, felt scared knowing that Asuna would die, and she was forced to let her out of the party. When Asuna got the notification that Mito had kicked her out of the party, she looked like she couldn't believe it all. After that, Asuna was suddenly attacked by a giant archosaur and almost died. Fortunately, there was a male player named Kirito, who came to Asuna's rescue and defeated the monster with one hit. After that, Kirito gave some HP boosting potions and a map to Asuna so that she could safely continue her journey to the city center. After arriving at the city center and finding an inn, Asuna looked desperate because her best friend had left her alone. Moreover, she heard the news that more than 1,000 players had died in the past 3 weeks, and that obviously made her even more anxious. After thinking and considering a lot of things, Asuna finally decided to continue on the adventure and increase her level until she died, instead of having to die miserably in the inn. After selling some non-essential items in the storage, Asuna then bought a sword and cloak with the money she had earned. After that, she went into the underground dungeon to hunt monsters and increase her level in the game. Asuna had been battling various monsters for 4 whole days, and she was getting tired because she was pushing herself too much. Kirito, who happened to come to the dungeon, saw Asuna who looked exhausted, so he advised her not to overfarm. But she responded coldly to the suggestion because she thought that in the end, all players in the game were destined to die. Shortly after saying that, Asuna suddenly fainted because her energy had been depleted after days of battling monsters non-stop. Seeing this, Kirito, who felt sorry for Asuna, decided to take her out of the dungeon and take her to the players' meeting in the town hall. When they arrived at the city hall, there were some players who complained that the beta testers didn't want to share their information with other players. However, the commotion was subdued after one of the players said that in the store, there was a free manual written by beta tester players to help novice players. After reading the manual, the leader of the player alliance named Diabel advised all players to form a guild or party so that they could go on adventures more easily. Seeing that the other players had found their respective groups, Kirito invited Asuna to join his party. Asuna was initially hesitant to join Kirito's party because she was still traumatized by Mito who had left her some time ago. However, she realized that the chances of party players surviving in the game were greater than solo players, so she decided to accept the offer. That night when all the players were dancing and singing in the middle of the party, Kirito and Asuna sat alone in the corner of the room. On that occasion, Kirito finally found out the reason why Asuna fought so hard, so he promised her that he would not let his party members die. When Asuna stayed at Kirito's house, he gave her a rare rapier sword that he had for Asuna, so she asked him why. Kirito also said that he felt guilty towards novice players like Asuna because he was actually a beta tester player, and he still didn't provide enough information to other players. Hearing Kirito's secret, she then also told a little about the incident when Mito left her. After hearing a more detailed chronology from her, he concluded that Mito had never actually intended to leave Asuna. Mito had actually purposely defeated the Alaskan rat monster so that she could present the drop item of her rapier sword to Asuna, but failed to give the sword because she thought that Asuna had died. Hearing this, she began to realize that what he said could be true, and she was relieved to know that Mito had never intended to betray her. On the next day, all the players gathered to defeat the boss monster from the first floor so that they could advance to the next floor. After seeing that the HP bar of the monster was only a little left, Diabel intended to defeat the monster alone so he could get rare items. Unfortunately, the monster suddenly made the players stunned and unable to move. As a result, Diabel could be easily defeated by the monster and in a dying condition. Kirito, who saw that Diabel's HP had only a little left, immediately rushed to save him and gave him a life potion. But instead of drinking the potion, he refused and asked Kirito to take care of all the players before he died. After that incident, Kirito and the other players immediately continued the fight to defeat the boss monster. In the middle of the fight, Mito accidentally met Asuna, and after knowing that she was still alive, Mito immediately apologized to her. Hearing Mito's sincere apology, Asuna decided to forgive her and understood the choice she had made. Before Asuna fought the boss monster with Kirito, Mito gave Asuna a rare rapier sword so that she could fight using the sword. After a very fierce battle, they finally managed to defeat the monster together and obtain some rare items. All the players seemed happy because they had defeated the boss monster from the first floor, but all the excitement changed when one of the male players accused Kirito and Asuna of being beta testers. Seeing the chaos, Kirito decided to pretend to be an antagonist to protect the other beta tester players and Asuna. He then said that he was much more powerful than the other beta tester players, and he also knew secret information in the game that the other beta testers didn't know. After that, Kirito left that place and left Asuna without breaking the party's relationship with her. A few days later, Asuna finally managed to find Kirito, and they agreed to continue their adventure together. The anime movie ends.